everybody, and welcome to our webinar, Making Sense of Great Digital Banking. Before I proceed, I will introduce very quickly our team from INTRASOFT, who are going to do the presentations as well as be in the panel that will be answering the questions that come at the end. Gerard, who will be the presenter, is the key speaker, is a project manager running the project in East Africa, heading a team of analysts and developers and other guys in the region doing the deployments for SACCOs and other banking systems. Then we have Wilson, who is head of SaaS, Wilson Asena, head of SaaS and operations, joining us. Then we have George Kamutus, who heads our pre-sales team globally, and then Rosemary Karachi, who is a BDM, Business Development Manager for East Africa. My name is Wambo Mbesa. I'm the CEO for the East African subsidiary. So what we want to do today is just take you through what our core banking system is all about, not from a technical point of view, but from the value that you will be getting from the system that we have called Profits Core Banking System for SACCOs. So before I do that, let me introduce our company very briefly. INTRASOFT International is a leading IT solutions provider. We are headquartered in Luxembourg, but we have subsidiaries in 13 different places across the globe. The slide that you have in front of you just tries to consolidate all the information about us. Just to show you our numbers, we are a healthy company, both from a revenue point of view, earnings, the EBITDA, as well as profitability, which is very important. If you look at the numbers on the graph, they will tell the story. Just a key number I will point out is that we have over 2,200 professionals and across 20 plus nationalities serving in different subsidiaries across the globe. We are listed in the stock market of the ACE, that is in Greece, and our center of excellence for banking is in Greece, and that's where George Kamutos is sitting right now as we speak. So Kenya is a regional subsidiary, although we do have a subsidiary in South Africa as well as Morocco. So moving on to the next slide, just a little bit of the East African focus. Our key focus since 2013, when we did our first POC in Rwanda, has been in the SACCOs. Even though you probably have only heard about us in the SACCO in the last 3 or so years, we have done a lot of work for credit unions in Europe, and in 2013 we were able to do a POC in Rwanda, and now we have, of course, customers in Kenya as well. So our focus is those countries: Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. We are not only in the SACCO or financial services sector, we are also in the public sector. But again, very, very specific areas of social security. That is why you can see NSSF Uganda, NSSF Kenya, as well as Rwanda RSSB, where we are deploying huge systems that are running the national social security systems there. We are also in tax and revenue, and that is why you can see the Kenya Revenue Authority. We are also in Zambia Revenue Authority, Huduma Kenya. We did some quality assurance work there. But specifically to the SACCOs, we are very focused in ensuring that we take SACCOs to the next level in terms of the digital era that we're finding ourselves in. And we realize that SACCOs have to prepare themselves to compete with everybody else in the financial services sector, whether it is the fintechs or the banks or the telcos. We do not have a choice. We have to get the right systems in order to be able to serve our members, grow, get the millennials who also are a market to be served. And so this is what we want to share with you today. So as I hand over to Gerard to take us through his presentation, I hope that you will be, writing your questions and thinking through what it is you may want to ask us. We're an open book, and we will try to answer your questions to the best of our abilities. So karibuni sana, and I will now welcome Gerard to take us through the presentation, which we have said we have titled "Making Sense of a Great Digital Banking Within the Sacco Sector." Gerard, over to you.
Thank you very much, Wamboy. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you for this opportunity as well to everyone who's here today. So as Wamboy has mentioned, and as you might have previously seen, today we'll be taking you through basically a digital journey in the Sacco sector, and we will be focusing basically on how you can make use of a core banking system to basically walk you through the digital journey. So we have some brief pointers, and basically the Sacco sector is all about empowering your members with easy access to credit, and easy and affordable access to credit, and also helping them save. And therefore we go to the deposit, both the deposit mobilization and also the deposit retention, meaning you want to empower your members to save as much as possible. So as we go through our presentation today, we'll be looking at how can we make use of the digital solutions we have today. How can we make use of a core banking system to enable you to go through that process? So we'll try and go into the details, especially on the loan management, which is the automated process on the same, and also on the deposit management in terms of self-service and products and services on the go. Finally, we'll have a look at in terms of the revenues. How can you as a Sacco make the most out of your current member base? Now, the Sacco financials themselves. So this is it. So we have a poll which will be in the poll section, and I think we'll have the first poll now. So feel free to give us your feedback. The first poll is: how many of you are thinking of changing your core banking system in the next 12 months? So kindly put in your feedback, and then we shall be reviewing that as well as we continue. So thank you very much. So I'll start us off with an outlook of the sector as it stands now, which is the reality of where we are today in the Sacco sector. On the left, you can see some very recent headlines on the Sacco sector. I think the first one is as recent as this week, with the regulator SASRA pushing Saccos to merge for stability. If you look at the other headlines, mostly COVID related, in terms of spike in bad loans due to COVID, another very, you can say, alarming headline. So coronavirus likely to sink Saccos. So just have a look at those headlines. As we look at our outlook, and what we can say generally is, and I know it's been said in many forums, that the COVID pandemic has forced organization to change and has forced organization to adopt digital. But what does it speak for the sectors? As you can see in the headline for the Sacco sector, as you can see the headlines, of course, there have been quite a number of changes that have been brought about by the COVID pandemic. But if you look at the numbers, what it says is COVID was just brought in what we'll call a symptom, but there was already a need for Saccos to embrace digital transformation. Why do I say this? If you look at the membership numbers, Saccos, if you look at the numbers as of 2019, we have a population of around 5 million. If you look at the population of Kenya, that's roughly around 10%. And if you look at the adult population, that's less than around 40%. So as you can see, as much as Saccos have been growing faster than banks over the last few years, we can actually see that there is a lot of space for the Sacco sector in terms of growth. Now, if I could take you to the second number, which is the 172, the number of deposit-taking Saccos. If you look at the numbers in 2020 compared with 2012, we can see a marginal drop in the number of SACCOs from around 215 to 172. What does that tell you? It tells you that as much as there's been so much growth in the SACCO space, the number of SACCOs are gradually reducing. And why is that? And we'll look at why that is the case as we continue to do this presentation. Now, have a look at the asset base of the SACCOs, of this 172 SACCOs. We'll see that close to 100 actually have less than $1 billion in deposits. So you can see that the majority of SACCOs actually only have 8.4% of the total deposits in the SACCO sector, which means as well, for most of the SACCOs, there's still a lot of, as much as they're growing in terms of deposit base, for most of the SACCOs, the growth curve is a bit slower and there's a lot of room for growth. And finally, the risk areas which you are looking at. What are some of the causes, or what are some of the key risks that the SACCO sector is looking at currently, and which we'll be looking to solve with our automation solutions? So the first one, as I mentioned, the core business of SACCOs is lending and actually empowering their members with access to affordable and ease of loans. So the first risk is loans issued to borrowers who fail to repay these loans. I know for SACCOs, initially in the past, you used to have the guarantor model, but as SACCOs have evolved, they've started issuing what we call front office loans, which are not tied to guarantors. And therefore, this risk is now manifesting itself more as we continue. The second one is, of course, on the liquidity risk, and we're looking at the deposits. As we mobilize our members to deposit more and to save more, there's the risk that we have the disbursements in loans being actually exceeding the deposit that the SACCO has. So how can we seek to address this risk with the core banking solutions we have? And the third one being, of course, on the operations risk. How exactly are we able as SACCOs to operate very optimum, to have an optimal operating environment in terms of our business practices? Are the way our processes designed are they fit for future? Are they able to take the SACCOs to the next age in terms of the outlook in the next few years? So I'll quickly go to the loan management. Which is the first, which is on the lending. And I'll start with some of the specific challenges we've been facing over the last few years, and now with the COVID pandemic. What is happening? As I mentioned, we are having a lot of SACCOs now moving to unguaranteed loans, which they normally call FOSA loans or sometimes instant loans. So we are facing a challenge with delayed repayments. Basically, especially with the COVID pandemic, there are a lot of job losses and salary cuts. So members are not able to pay as fast as they would. Or sometimes members are saying they cannot afford the repayment amount which they wanted to repay. So the second one is in terms of loan restructuring. So you have a lot of members now coming in and saying, okay, I'd agreed to pay 10,000 per month, but now due to the pandemic, I can only afford 5,000. Of course, there are some who are able to restructure upwards and downwards. Another challenge which you are facing is with the pandemic, there's a lot of decreased borrowing rates. So not many members currently are willing to take on long-term loans because of they're not sure about the future in terms of their job. We have also experienced a lot of mass withdrawals and low deposits, and some temporary closure of branches, especially where there are infection rates. So you'll find a SACCO will close a branch, and therefore they'll not be able to serve members from that branch. So I want to take you through what our core banking system will do in terms of giving you an automated solution to some of these challenges. And I'll start with the loan processing at the branch level. Now, normally, conventionally, you'll find the loan process will start with a member filling out a form, and then it will go through several approval process. Credit officers, credit managers, all of them will have a role to play, either checking the eligibility, checking the scoring in terms of how much they'll give the member, and all that. So with a core banking system, we have what we call an automated workflow. So basically, from the point of initiation of that loan, and what we're saying is the member does not even have to come to the branch. The member can initiate that loan even from the comfort of their house, from their phone. So they can initiate the loan in terms of what they need. From there, the system picks it up from there. It does the eligibility automatically. And by eligibility, this covers both back office and front office loans. So for example, for instant loans, you want to be able to issue as many loans as possible within a day. You want a system that will be able to quickly vet your members and say, okay, this member is not eligible, maybe they're a defaulter, maybe they have the incorrect status. So with the core banking system, all this work is done by the core banking system, the scoring as well. And for scoring, it actually allows you to dynamically create your parameters. What exactly do you want to use in terms of scoring your members? Top-ups as well, you have a lot of members who will come and they want to consolidate their loans or even buy off the loans they have maybe with other financial institutions. This is done very seamlessly and automatically as well. For the interest management, and this is one of the biggest challenges we are having with the current systems that SACCOs use. I know we've talked a lot about the migration from ERPs to core banking systems, but how exactly do you manage your interest for the loans you give out? Are you doing manual interest posting at the end of every month? Or are you every time you have to recalculate the interest of the loan? So meaning, yes, you've issued the loan, but you have a lot of work in terms of managing it, in terms of putting the interest manually. So the core banking system takes away that stress for you. So the credit officers can now focus on selling more loans as opposed to now managing in terms of manual interest calculation and all that. So this will be sorted out in terms of the core banking. The structuring, as I mentioned, you can change your loan upwards or downwards. In terms of the repayment and the recovery, this is also a key challenge, which I've seen with a lot of SACCOs. So you'll find, especially with instant loans, that recovery becomes a challenge. So somebody has taken a mobile loan of around 10,000, 20,000, and they've not paid in time, and you do not have a way in which you can get this amount to be repaid. And yet the FOSA account is very active in terms of money coming in, and therefore you'll have a lot of manual processes here, and you have officers who are busy the whole day blocking and unblocking accounts so that they can recover these amounts manually. This stress is taken care of by the core system, which will, using what we call sniffing, do automated recovery of any overdue amounts. And it's up to you to define to the system how exactly do you want this recovery to be done. And the system will do that automatically for you. And finally, in terms of the SASRA reports and any regulatory reports you need, the core banking system out of box offers you that. So in terms of lending, you can see the actual strengths in terms of the digital journey. Moving all these loans to mobile, with manual systems, you'll have a lot of headache in terms of how to manage these loans. But with a core banking system, all these processes, including the workflow and the actual management of the loan, are taken care of by the core banking system. I'll move on now to the deposits, and in terms of mobilizing the deposits and how the core banking system will help you. So that, as I've mentioned, you have two key objectives as a SACCO. First is to ensure that the deposits that the members have are retained within the SACCO ecosystem, meaning you do not have a lot of unnecessary withdrawals. And then secondly, you need to allow your members as many avenues as possible to deposit money to the SACCO, and to have the comfort that that money will stay there and they can access it anytime they want, and they can actually transact with that money. And by that I mean they can pay their bills, they do not need to move that money to another platform, to a bank or to mobile money to be able to do some of these transactions. So what a core banking system does is it gives you ability to both retain and mobilize deposits by what we call omnichannel implementation, which basically allows you seamlessly to deploy multiple channels. So you can have a lot of deposits from mobile, agency, internet, even ATM. So basically, with a core banking system, you have that out of the box, and what we call omni-channel implementation. Convenience as well, you can be able to do all your requests from the comfort from the comfort of your house. So we have, as I said, we have standard integration architecture, and we also allow for service requests. So what happens in the core banking system is, for example, and I'll use this example, you want to also encourage your members to open fixed deposits, term deposits, or call deposits. They can actually open those accounts from their phone. They don't need to come and fill a form to have those accounts. And that will mean then you will have members saving more as opposed to looking for other avenues of saving. Reliability, core banking systems, especially the robust ones, come with high availability and maximum security, which will mean then that members are safe, are assured that their money is safe, and they can actually use it anytime. So, for example, you don't need to have a case whereby, and I know for most SACCOs, the main deposit channel is actually through salary, through payroll. So you don't have an instance where the money comes in through the payroll, and the next day all the money is withdrawn to maybe mobile money, so that the members can pay their bills, they can send to each other. With the core banking system, you actually open up all those transactions. You open up inter-member transactions. You open up bill payments. You open up all these transactions. Ease of access, as I've mentioned, 24/7 access. I've had instances of some systems where you have to switch them off at 5 p.m. With a core banking system, you have access 24/7. I'll also mention some of the other benefits, which are reduced costs. As I mentioned, you can now do internal transfers with a core banking system. Currently, some members have to move money from their account within the SACCO, move it to mobile money, and then send it to another member in their mobile money so that they can do a deposit. Right now, with a core banking system, you can actually move money within SACCOs, and it can actually open up integration to even switches where you can now move even to the banks. Of course, automated member onboarding, you don't need to fill a form for onboarding. We have what we call leads. So you can capture leads through the mobile phone. Somebody fills in the form, and they'll fill in through their phone, and they'll only come to the SACCO maybe to take their photo, to sign, but all the information will be there, and the approval process will be automated. For salaries as well, I know instances of SACCOs where they can process salaries for 3 days straight, and with a lot of staff sleeping in the office. This is all handled by the core banking, where you can actually move that from days to actually 1 hour, and you can run it during the day. You don't need to do it at night. So finally, as I move on to revenue growth, we also have another poll, which will also allow for you to fill out for us. And it's how many of you are thinking of enhancing your digital channels in the next 12 months. So please as well, give us your thoughts even as we continue with this, and then we'll be able to review as well. Yeah, so we now come home, and this is value. What kind of value can the core banking system give to you now as a SACCO? As I've mentioned, you have an opportunity to grow your deposits and also empower your members with loans. But as a SACCO as well, your members are expecting dividends. They're expecting interest at the end of the year. So they're also looking at your performance as a SACCO. What is this? How can you make the most out of your current member base in terms of your financial performance now as a SACCO? So as I've mentioned, over the last few years, we've seen a shift to mobile loans. Now, if you're left out in terms of the mobile loan movement, as you can see, if I'm a member within a SACCO and I've already taken a long-term loan, that means my revenues are already catered for, meaning if I've taken a 2-year loan, I'll only come back after 2 years. But what if you can offer flexible and differentiated mobile loan products? So not just offering one kind of loan. You're actually able to look at your member base and structure loans based on how they are, based on if your members are farmers, if your members are teachers. You are actually able to structure the mobile loans. So you are actually able to offer differentiated loans within the same system. Now, a core banking system offers you that flexibility. With more mobile loans, within a month, you can actually be able to issue multiple loans. And as I've mentioned, the core banking system will do the loan management for you in terms of managing the interest and actually the recovery. So you actually see your revenues increase twofold or tenfold, because now you're actually getting new revenue streams that you did not have. As I mentioned, the core banking system does the interest management and the recovery for you, and also allows you to have more touch points for mobile loans. So for example, if currently you can only do mobile loans from your phone, from SSD, now you can do from app. You can even introduce mobile loans in agents. You can even do mobile loans in the internet, through the internet banking. Secondly, is in terms of stability and reliability. I know time is really moving fast. So, and as I've mentioned, feel free to post in any questions you have in the chat window. We'll be looking at that as well as we continue with the team. So feel free, even as we continue with this presentation, to post any questions you have, anything you feel that we'll need to address. So in terms of system stability and reliability, now what our core banking system does is it gives you a lot of reliability. What does that mean? If I know that my salary passes through the Sacco and I can access it anytime and I can use it to perform transactions, I'll be more loyal. I'll avoid what we call multi-banking. I have a Sacco, I have 3 other banks, and then the Sacco is just to move the money from the once I receive from the employer, I move it to another bank. So you have a lot of what we call loyalty. So the members will keep their deposits there, and they'll also move it to a fixed deposit, and they'll even refer their friends to join the Sacco. A key point, and I know it can be touched on, it's a very heavy topic, and we may not be able to cover it adequately today, is on security. Most of the systems we have out there do not have inbuilt system security. Robust core banking systems actually allow you to have the confidence that your money will always be safe from hack. And hackers are every day trying to devise new ways. And I think they found a weak spot within the Sacco. And you will find most of the Saccos in the last few years have been hit in terms of the member deposits and all that. With our core banking systems, the level of security we have with the core banking allows you to ensure that all your money is there within the Sacco, and it's safe, and will encourage more members to actually process their salaries within the Sacco, which basically will increase your deposits, and it will mean that as members transact within the Sacco, your revenues as a Sacco go up, and in turn the dividends you're able to pay out to members goes higher, and therefore you'll have more members also willing to join you because they know you are doing well, your Sacco is growing, and all that. So that's it. Now, we cannot talk about financials without talking about the costs. How do you manage your costs? So some of the things that a core banking system does to help you manage your costs. If you want to roll out a new channel, for example, you already have your SSB, you want to roll out an application, you want to roll out agency, you want to roll out internet banking, you have what we call a standardized open omni-channel APIs. So you do not need to actually every time customize for a new channel. So every time you want to onboard a channel, you can actually do it within your Sacco without having to, and I can speak for our core banking system as INTRASOFT, which is Profits. It has what we call a standardized integration architecture. So that will mean that even as a Sacco, if you own the core banking system, you will not need to always engage the vendor every time you're rolling out a new channel. You just need to deploy it as easy as possible, which means you save on cost in terms of customizations. In terms of ATMs, you can actually integrate ATMs directly to your switch. If you have your switch provider, you can integrate directly. I know most Saccos have had to use bridges, which also have the cost on their own. You can now integrate directly, so you save on the cost of that. As I mentioned, our core banking system will open up new transactions. And with new transactions, not only do you get revenue, but you also reduce your cost. What transactions am I talking about? A key one is funds transfer. I mean, if you have 2 members, 3 members who want to move money within the Sacco, or you need to move money from your main first account to your junior account, to your holiday account, you can actually do that from the comfort of your phone. Now, what that does is you save on the cost of moving that money from the Sacco to mobile money to be able to transfer to each other. And also, the Sacco can put a charge in terms of internal funds transfer and actually make revenues from this. As well, it saves on the cost in terms of having to pay an integrator to be able to handle your funds transfers for you. So there's a lot of cost efficiency we'll see in terms of that. Finally, of course, it's all about what we call CXX, which is customer experience. So with an enhanced member experience, if they feel happy within the Sacco, if they feel like they belong there, if they feel that when they need something, when they need a loan, when they need a new sub account, when they need to have their salary process, it's done faster. And that's what a core banking system does to you. It gives you a lot of a faster turnaround time for salary processing and loan processing. So they're able to feel that all this is done as they wish. And of course, in terms of being able to perform all these transactions from the comfort of your phone. So for example, being able to request for a new account, being able, even if I'm interested in joining a Sacco, I don't need to visit their offices. And even if the branch is closed due to COVID, I can put in a request from my phone. It's processed through the automated workflow, and maybe I'll just be contacted later to go and provide my details. So we'll have a lot of enhanced member experience. So, and this in its sense will mean that you have more members and you have more deposits. And at the end of the day, it leads to a lot of financial growth. So, so I think in the interest of time, those are some of the key components. We've tried to tackle them in terms of how it relates to you in terms of the different processes, especially for the loans, especially for the deposits. Yeah, so feel free, as I've mentioned, put in your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll be addressing them as we go forward. So I think that's it from me. I'll be handing now over to back to the moderator, Laura, to take it up from there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Jared, for your time, and thank you for that great content. I hope everybody can hear me now. Some very interesting content that you've shared with us on SACCOs going digital from a banking perspective. You know, I've picked up quite a bit from you. Just before I talk through what I've picked up from your presentation, I just want to apologize for my sound going off. As I always say during these sessions, Murphy's Law and technology, when you're getting to the meat of the content, suddenly something happens. So apologies to the audience for suddenly just dropping off. But I was saying that I'm really looking forward to this session because I really wanted to see if there's a significant difference between SACCOs going digital and banks going digital, you know, because these are two verticals that are toe-to-toe with each other. And I'm glad that from Wamboi's introduction, she talked about INTRASOFT really being focused on SACCOs and taking care of the Sacco technology needs, which is fantastic because, as we know, these are really big in our society today. We believe in coming together and making a difference and serving every person within the society. So, you know, you talked about the solution that you have to offer as INTRASOFT, and some of the things that excited me was the correlation between technology and business. You know, as we are investing in technology, obviously there has to be a return on investment, and it is important that technology has an impact to the overall profit and business of the organization, and instead of them just being looked at the people who spend money without impact. So I was very happy to hear about, you know, like things like cost reduction. You talked about cost efficiency, where if one is customizing, they don't have to worry about cost. I'm talking about reporting, customer retention, and customer experience. As we know, customer is king in everything that we're doing. We're trying to service customers. This is why we're investing in all these things. And you also talked about recovery and collections, you know, and payments. You know, the reason why people join SACCOs is to save money and, of course, be able to borrow at a very reasonable interest rate. But again, on the other hand, as money is being lent out, it has to be recovered, or it has to be collected back, or we have to create a convenient environment for people to pay back the money. And given the current situation, it's very easy for members to give up and say, hey, you guys have not offered me a solution as to how I'm going to pay you back. So I'll wait until you're ready, or I'll sit back. What does that mean? It affects the business at the end of the day. So some very interesting content there and offerings. And I hope the audience has picked up quite a bit as much as I have. So as we're preparing for our question and answers, I'd like for Wambui to introduce the team that is going to be answering the questions. And while she's doing that, I will ask Felix to put up the results of the first poll so that we can start off by, just unpacking some of the responses that came back from the first poll. So Wambui, over to you and your team, and then let's unpack the first poll results. Thank you.